You wouldn't even have a business if it weren't for us, Mom snapped after she emptied my accounts. Family means sharing, my brother hissed, so I did share. I shared the footage of them stealing my mail, my food, and my checks in court in front of a judge. My name's Rebecca Hastings. I'm 32 years old. For the last 3 years, my world has smelled like roasted garlic and fresh basil with a hint of cilantro and lime. It's the scent of my freedom. My small, one-bedroom apartment isn't just a home, it's my headquarters, my kitchen, my entire life. The living room is a staging area packed with insulated coolers and stacks of recyclable containers. The bedroom closet is a pantry. Every surface in the kitchen is stainless steel, bought secondhand and polished until it gleams under the fluorescent lights I installed myself. These 5 burners, 2 ovens, and a rattling, overworked label printer are the tools I used to build a life on my own terms. My meal prep business, Nourish, isn't just a job. It's a promise I made to myself at 22, the day I graduated from college with a mountain of debt and a heart full of disillusionment. The promise was simple. Never again depend on anyone whose love comes with strings attached, whose support is actually a loan you'll spend your whole life repaying. I learned that lesson the hard way, growing up in a house where every favor had a price and every kindness was an investment. On my kitchen counter next to a jar of kosher salt, I keep a small, black ledger. It's my Bible. Every sale, every expense, every gram of salt is accounted for. It's a physical record of my independence, proof that I can stand on my own 2 feet. Every line written in that book is another brick in the wall I've built around myself. A wall to keep the world out, but mostly to keep my family's particular brand of love at a safe distance. The spare key to my apartment hangs on a hook by my parents' front door, right next to the car keys and a dusty Christmas ornament. A symbol of trust, or so I used to think. It was a relic from a time when I believed that family was a safety net, not a trap. It all starts on a Tuesday, the busiest day of the week. Tuesdays are for final prep and dispatch. The air is thick with the savory steam of simmering sauces and the rhythmic chop of my knife against the worn wooden cutting board. I'm in the zone, a culinary whirlwind, packing up lunches of quinoa salads and lemon herb chicken. My phone, propped against a bag of flour, buzzes on the counter. I ignore it. It buzzes again and again. With a sigh, I wipe my hands on my apron and pick it up. The screen is lit with a series of alerts from my bank. The first one makes my stomach clench. Insufficient funds. The payment was for Tony Rivera, my produce supplier. He's a good man, a man who trusts me with a handshake and gives me the best prices because he believes in what I'm doing. Bouncing a check to him isn't just bad business, it's a betrayal of that trust. My fingers feel clumsy as I try to log into my business banking app. The screen flashes red, account locked, please contact your branch. A cold dread washes over me, a feeling worse than dropping a full tray of freshly baked lasagna. This isn't a glitch, this isn't a simple mistake. My heart starts hammering against my ribs. I toggle over to my personal account, the one where I keep my emergency savings, my safety net. The balance is a joke, a cruel, insulting punchline, $17.42. Panic sets in, hot and sharp. It constricts my chest, making it hard to breathe. Just yesterday, there was thousands in there, both accounts nearly empty. This isn't a hack. A hacker would have taken it all. This feels personal. This feels like a theft from the inside. I grab my keys from the hook by the door, leaving a pot of rich, simmering tomato sauce on the stove. I have to get to the bank. Right now, the sauce, my business, everything else can burn. The bank is cold and quiet, smelling of clean carpets and money. The forced cheerfulness of the teller's smile does nothing to calm the frantic buzzing under my skin. I'm led to a small glass office where the bank manager, a woman named Sarah Nolan, greets me with a face full of professional pity. I hate it. It makes me feel small, like a child who's lost her lunch money. She gestures for me to sit, her movements calm and measured while my whole world is spinning off its axis. "Miss Hastings, thanks for coming in," she says, her voice low and even. "Let's see what's going on." She pulls up my statements on her monitor, her brow furrowing slightly as she scrolls. The silence in the room is deafening, broken only by the click of her mouse. Finally, she turns the screen toward me. My breath catches in my throat. It's a list of large sequential withdrawals: $5,000, $10,000. Another 10, all made in person over the last 48 hours. At a branch across town, one I've never been to. Who did this? I whisper, the words feeling foreign in my mouth. Sarah Nolan looks at me, her expression softening with genuine sympathy now. According to our records, the account holder who made the withdrawals was Linda Hastings. My mother's name hangs in the air like a cloud of poison gas. Linda. My mom, it doesn't compute. I stare at the screen, at her name printed in stark black and white, and my mind just refuses to accept it. I remember with a sickening lurch the joint access I gave her to my personal account years ago. It was for emergencies back when I was just starting out and afraid I might miss a rent payment. I never thought to revoke it. I never imagined my own mother would be the emergency. And the business account? How, then, I remember. When I set it up, the bank required me to link it to my personal account for overdraft protection. That link must have given her access. Everything gone. I feel the floor drop out from under me. The promise I made to myself at 22 shatters into a million pieces. I drive to my parents' house in a complete daze. The world outside my car windows is a blur of meaningless color and motion. The simmering tomato sauce I abandoned on my stove is the last thing on my mind. When I pull into their driveway, I see a large cardboard box by the front door, the kind that holds expensive new appliances. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely turn the key in the ignition. I let myself in. My mother is in the kitchen, humming a cheerful tune, carefully wiping down a brand new, top-of-the-line espresso machine. It's all gleaming chrome and futuristic buttons. It probably cost more than my rent. The sight of it, so shiny and new in her dated kitchen, makes me feel physically ill. "Where is it?" I ask, my voice sounding hollow and strange. She turns, a bright, manufactured smile on her face. "Rebecca, what a surprise." She doesn't even flinch, she just goes back to polishing the machine. "The money, Mom." "Where is my money?" "Oh, that," she says, her tone breezy, as if I'm asking about a missing container of leftovers. "We needed it. Your father's car needed some major repairs, you know how it is. And your brother had some bills to catch up on." She pauses, finally looking at me, her eyes full of that familiar, weary disappointment she reserves just for me. "Family means sharing, Rebecca. You've built such a nice little business. You should be happy to help." Just then, my brother Kyle walks into the kitchen, grabbing a soda from the fridge. He has the same smirk he's worn since he was 12, the one that says he knows he can get away with anything. "Yeah, relax, Becca," he says, popping the tab on the can. "It's just money, you can always make more." He holds up his phone, taps the screen a few times, and a second later my phone buzzes. It's a notification from Venmo. "He's sent me $15. See?" he says with a grin, holding up his phone as if it's proof of his generosity. "We're not monsters." The insult is so profound, so utterly dismissive of my entire life's work that it burns hotter than any oven I own. This isn't sharing, this is a hostile takeover. They haven't just stolen my money, they've stolen my future, and they're telling me I should thank them for it. The promise I made to myself wasn't just broken, it was laughed at. The next morning, I wake up feeling like I've been hollowed out. The anger has cooled into a hard, dense knot of dread in my stomach. I have to work. I have to salvage what's left of my business, even with no money. As I'm trying to figure out how to buy groceries with $17, my phone buzzes with a text. It's from Grace Miller, one of my most loyal customers. "Hey, was my order delayed? Just checking in." My blood runs cold. I check my records, a meticulous spreadsheet I keep on my laptop. Her order, chicken parmesan with a side of roasted broccoli, was prepped, packed, and left in my building's lobby for courier pickup at 7 a.m. yesterday, just like every Tuesday. Then another text comes in, and another, 3 customers, 3 different orders, all missing. Panic starts to bubble up in my throat again. I open the delivery app on my phone. The pickups were all marked as complete by the couriers. But the customers never got their food. A sick feeling churns in my stomach. My brother Kyle lives 2 blocks away. He knows my delivery schedule down to the minute. He knows the couriers pick up the labeled bags from the small table in the lobby between 7 and 8 in the morning. He also, I remember with a fresh wave of nausea, still has a key fob for the building's front door from a time he was cat-sitting for me years ago. I never thought to ask for it back. Why would I dial his number, my hand trembling. He answers on the second ring, his voice slick with a fake, syrupy concern that makes my teeth ache. "Hey, sis, what's up? Missing packages? That's rough," he says after I explain. "Man, the delivery guys in your building must be terrible. You should be more careful." The condescension in his voice is a lit match on my last nerve. "Did you take the food from the lobby, Kyle?" I ask, my voice flat and cold. He lets out a short, sharp laugh. Why would I do that? "I was just passing by on my way to the gym and saw the bags there. Figured I'd help you out, clear the space before the morning rush. People are always complaining about clutter in the lobby." Then he adds, his voice dropping into that conspiratorial tone he uses when he's about to lie. "Besides, Mom said you were struggling a little. We're just trying to lighten your load." It's so absurd, so twisted, I almost can't breathe. He's not just stealing from me, he's framing it as a favor. The audacity is breathtaking. Before I can even respond, he keeps going. "Oh hey, speaking of mail, found some of those paper checks in the building's mail pile too, from your old lady fan club. Don't worry, I deposited them for you. They're safe." He's not even trying to hide it. He thinks he's untouchable. I go back to my mom. I don't know why. Maybe some small, stupid part of me still believes she can fix this, that she'll see reason. I find her in the living room, reading a magazine, sipping a perfectly frothed cappuccino from her new machine. I plead with her. I lay it all out. The business will collapse. My suppliers won't get paid. My customers, the people who depend on my food, will leave. I tell her about Kyle stealing the food, about the missing checks he so proudly admitted to taking. She doesn't even look up from her magazine, she just waves a dismissive hand. "Oh, Rebecca, you're being so dramatic. Kyle would never do that, he was just trying to help, you twist everything." Then she puts the magazine down and gives me the look, the one that says I'm the problem. I've always been the problem. "You were always like this, even as a child, so selfish, never willing to sacrifice for the family." She brings up every perceived slight from the last 30 years, the time I didn't want to give up my summer job to babysit Kyle for free. The time I was too tired to cook Christmas dinner after working a double shift. It's a greatest hits of my supposed selfishness. She tells me I owe them, for my upbringing, for their support. A debt she implies I can never, ever repay. I realize, standing there in her quiet, orderly living room, that I'm not talking to a person. I'm talking to a wall of practiced denial. They don't see me, they see a resource they own. My first attempts to fight back are small, reactive, and utterly useless. I go online and change my bank account passwords. I put a freeze on my credit. It feels like putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. I call Sarah, the bank manager, again and ask what my options are. Her voice is full of professional regret. "Rebecca, I'm so sorry, but since your mother was a joint account holder, it's not technically bank fraud. It's what's considered a civil matter." A civil matter. The phrase sounds so sterile, so removed from the visceral reality of my situation. I call the local police precinct, my voice shaking as I try to explain about the stolen packages and the intercepted checks. The officer on the other end of the line sounds bored. "Look, ma'am," he says with a sigh, "without any actual proof, this sounds like a family dispute. We can't get involved in that." A family dispute. The system isn't built to protect me from this. It's not built to protect me from my own family. My attempts to handle this through the proper, official channels are a dead end. Every door I knock on is politely, firmly shut in my face. I'm completely and utterly on my own. The shame is a crushing weight, a hot flush that creeps up my neck every time I think about my empty accounts and my confused customers. But beneath the shame, something else is starting to burn. It's a cold, hard rage, and it's the only thing I have left. That night, my friend Jordan Blake comes over. I called him in tears, my voice cracking over the phone, and he was at my door 20 minutes later with a bag of takeout and a grimly determined look on his face. Jordan doesn't offer pity, he's never been the type. He offers a plan. He listens to the entire sordid story, his expression growing colder with every detail. When I'm done, he just nods. "You can't win an argument with them, Becca," he says, his voice firm. "You've been trying to do that your whole life, you have to win a case." He pulls out his laptop and with a few clicks orders a small, no-frills indoor camera. It's not for the living room or the kitchen. It's for the inside of my front door, mounted high in the corner where no one would think to look. It's angled perfectly to capture a clear shot of the door opening and anyone reaching for the mail that comes through the slot. No audio, he explains, just a clear, undeniable picture. We install it that night, the hum of the drill feeling like a declaration of war. It feels like installing a lock on the inside of my own mind. Next, I sign up for the Postal Service's informed delivery. From now on, I'll get a digital preview of every piece of mail before it arrives. No more surprises. Then I take a bus to a new bank miles away from my neighborhood and open a new business account under a new business name. My old business, Nourish, is dead. They killed it. My new one will be a fortress. This isn't about getting the money back anymore. It's about taking my life back. The retaliation is swift and it's not aimed at my business. It's aimed at me. My mom starts her campaign, calling relatives I haven't spoken to in years. My phone starts buzzing with texts from Aunt Carol, then a call from Uncle Gene. The story she's telling is a masterpiece of manipulation. She frames the theft as a loan that I'm cruelly and selfishly demanding back during a time of family crisis. She tells them I'm unstable, that I'm cutting them off for no reason, that I'm ungrateful for everything they've ever done for me. The texts all have the same theme. Your mother is heartbroken. How could you be so cold? After all they've done for you, this is how you repay them. They're turning my own support system against me, isolating me with a narrative that I can't fight without revealing the humiliating truth of what my mother and brother have done. Every ping of my phone feels like a stone being thrown, another voice telling me that I'm the crazy one, I'm the bad one. The shame is a physical weight, making it hard to breathe, hard to cook, hard to think. It's a suffocating blanket of their lies. I try to set a new boundary, a simple one. I send a group text to my mom and Kyle, "Do not come to my apartment without calling first." It feels pathetic, like I'm begging for a basic courtesy that should be a given. An hour later, I hear the distinct sound of the spare key turning in my lock. The doorknob twists. My heart leaps into my throat. It's my mom. She's holding a Tupperware container of her famously dry meatloaf, a peace offering that's really a weapon. "I was worried you weren't eating," she says, her voice full of false concern as she steps into my space, uninvited. It's a power move. A clear, calculated demonstration that my words, my boundaries, mean absolutely nothing to her. Her eyes scan the apartment and land on the new, empty ledger on my counter. Her eyes narrow. "Starting over without us?" The question is soft, but it's loaded with accusation. Her presence in my apartment feels like a violation all over again. I don't argue, I don't yell, I just watch her, my face a carefully constructed mask of neutrality. The little red light on the camera in the corner is on. It's recording. She leaves and a chill runs down my spine. This isn't just about money. This is about control, and she's terrified of losing it. The pressure is mounting from every direction. Tony Rivera, my supplier, calls. He's kind, but his voice is firm. "Rebecca, I'm so sorry, but I need that payment by Friday or I have to cut you off. I've got my own bills to pay." I completely understand, but it feels like another door slamming shut. My new business has no capital. I'm starting from absolute zero. I have to do something I never thought I'd do. I take my grandmother's locket, the only thing of value I own that my mother can't touch, to a pawn shop. The man behind the counter gives me $800 for it. It feels like selling a piece of my own heart. The money is just enough to pay Tony a fraction of what I owe and buy the most basic ingredients for a few loyal customers who are still sticking with me. Grace Miller, my first and most loyal customer, places a huge order for her office and pays the full amount upfront. "I believe in you, Rebecca," she texts me. "Don't you dare give up." Her trust is a lifeline in a sea of betrayal, a small, warm light in the suffocating darkness. But the pressure is immense. One more missed delivery, one more financial hit, and I'm done for good. The fight is no longer just about justice, it's about pure survival. I look at the live feed from the camera on my phone. I'm not just collecting evidence anymore, I'm building a weapon. Jordan helps me with the next step. We need to prove intent. We need to show that this isn't just a misunderstanding or a family dispute. It needs to be clean, undeniable, and deliberate. He helps me order a small GPS tracker online, the kind people put on their keychains to keep from losing them. It's tiny, smaller than a quarter. The plan is simple. I take the tracker and nestle it inside a thick, padded mailer. Inside with it, I place a generic greeting card that just says, "Thinking of you." From the outside, the mailer feels substantial, like it could contain cash or a gift card. It's bait, perfect bait. I use the Postal Service's website to schedule a package pickup and track its delivery, so I'll know the exact window when it arrives on Thursday afternoon. That morning, I send a text to my mom. "Hey, just wanted to let you know I'll be out all day catering a small event. Won't be back until late." It's a lie, of course. Instead of being at an event, I'm sitting in my car a block away from my apartment building, watching the live feed from the little tracker on my phone's map. My heart pounds against my ribs with a steady, nervous rhythm. This feels different from just reacting. This is proactive. I'm not waiting for them to act, I'm making them. I am no longer defending, I am hunting. At 2:15, the mail carrier's truck pulls up to my building. A few minutes later, my informed delivery app sends me a notification with a scanned image of the decoy envelope. It's been delivered. I can almost hear the soft thud as it slides through the mail slot and lands on the floor inside my apartment. I hold my breath and wait. The minutes stretch on, feeling like hours. My palms are sweating. What if he doesn't show? What if they've gotten spooked? 15 minutes later, my phone buzzes with a new alert, not a text message. It's from the camera's app, motion detected at front door. My fingers are shaking as I open the live feed. The video is silent and grainy but perfectly clear. I see the lock on my front door turn slowly from the inside. A hand reaches in. It's Kyle's hand. I'd recognize the tarnished silver ring he always wears on his index finger anywhere. His hand doesn't search through the small pile of mail. It doesn't rifle through the junk mail and bills. It goes directly for the thick, padded envelope. He hooks a finger around it, pulls it back through the door, and then the door clicks shut, the deadbolt sliding back into place. The video is silent, clinical, and absolutely, unequivocally damning. It's the first piece of hard evidence I have. A clean, undeniable image of the theft in progress. A jolt of cold triumph shoots through me. I've got him. I switch apps on my phone, my eyes glued to the map showing the GPS tracker's location. The small blue dot, which had been stationary inside my apartment, starts to move. It leaves my building and travels quickly down the street. It goes 2 blocks east and then 1 block north before it stops. I zoom in on the location. It's sitting squarely on top of Kyle's apartment building. I take a screenshot of the map with the dot's final location and the timestamp clearly visible. I save the camera footage to a new, secure cloud account, then download a backup copy to a separate hard drive. My next call is to Martha Cole, my building's property manager. I keep my voice calm and neutral. I don't tell her the whole story, she doesn't need to know it's my brother. I just say I've been having some issues with package theft and ask if she can pull the lobby camera footage for that specific 30-minute window. "Of course, Rebecca," she says, her voice full of neighborly concern. "That's terrible. I'll email you the file by the end of the day." Every piece of data is another rivet holding my case together: the photo of his hand, the GPS location, the time-stamped lobby footage that will show him entering the building and leaving a few minutes later. I open my black ledger. I'm not just tracking income and expenses anymore. Now I'm tracking crimes. That evening, as if on cue, my phone buzzes with a text from Kyle. "Hey, got some of your mail by mistake. Just a card from someone, no big deal, dropped it back at your door for you." The lie is so casual, so effortless, it makes me feel sick to my stomach. He's not even a good liar. He opened it, found nothing of value, and is now trying to cover his tracks with a flimsy excuse. When I get back to my apartment, the decoy envelope is lying on my doormat, torn open at the side. I pick it up with 2 fingers as if it's contaminated and take a picture of it. Another piece for the file. An hour later, my mother calls. Her voice is dripping with that cloying, fake sympathy she uses when she's about to manipulate me. "Kyle told me you're having some trouble with your mail, honey. You should really be more organized. Things like this happen when you're not on top of things." The coordinated gaslighting is a well-oiled machine perfected over years of practice. I don't argue, I don't defend myself, I just say, "Thanks for the advice, Mom, I'm handling it." I hang up the phone and turn back to the folder I'm building on my laptop. It's filled with videos, screenshots, and notes. This isn't a family dispute anymore. This is a case, and there's no going back now. The video of the decoy theft is damning, but I know it's not enough. I need to connect the dots. I need to show that this wasn't a one-time thing, but a pattern. I need to connect Kyle's thefts to the money my mother drained from my accounts. So I start scrolling. I go back through months, then years of text messages between me, my mom, and Kyle. All those little casual digs, the passive-aggressive jokes, the offhand comments I'd always ignored or brushed off, I start reading them under a microscope. And there it is, hidden in plain sight. 3 weeks ago, a text from Kyle. "Just saw another check for you in the mail pile from that old lady who loves your lasagna. You've got a real fan club, lol." A month before my accounts were emptied, a text from Mom. "Don't worry about the deposit for that big catering gig. I took care of it from your account. That's what family is for." They weren't even hiding it. They were flaunting it, so confident in their power over me, so certain that I would never, ever challenge them. I keep scrolling until I find it. The Venmo notification from the day of the confrontation, the one for $15. I had deleted it in a fit of rage, but the email receipt is still there. I open it and the memo line Kyle wrote jumps out at me: "For helping W business stuff." It's not an insult, it's an admission, a receipt for his crimes. The truth is laid bare in a string of glowing text messages. This wasn't a one-time act of desperation. It was a long-term, systematic milking of my success, a constant siphoning of my hard work. The next morning, I take everything. I pack up my black ledger, the hard drive with the video files, and a thick binder filled with printed screenshots of the text messages and bank statements. I walk into a free legal aid clinic downtown, a place with worn-out chairs and the faint smell of old coffee. They assign me to a young lawyer named Daniel Price. He looks tired, but his eyes are sharp and focused. I sit across the desk from him and I lay everything out piece by piece. The bank statements showing the withdrawals, the camera footage of Kyle's hand, the GPS tracker map, the screenshots of the texts. I speak without emotion, my voice as flat and steady as if I were listing ingredients for a recipe. I present the facts one after another, building the case for him just as I built it for myself. He listens intently, his expression shifting from professional sympathy to focused, predatory interest. He stops me when I get to the Venmo transaction. He leans forward, pointing at the printout. "He sent you money with that memo line?" he asks, a flicker of disbelief in his eyes. "Yes," I say. He leans back in his chair, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Miss Hastings," he says, his voice energized now, "this is an incredibly strong case for conversion. That's the legal term for civil theft." He explains that we can sue them, not just for the money they took, but for the damages to my business, for the income I've lost. The word sue hangs in the air between us. It sounds so final. It's a formal declaration of war against my own family. Daniel doesn't sugarcoat anything. He laces his fingers together on the desk, the dull gold of his wedding band catching the overhead light, and he tells me the truth. This won't just be a legal thing, he says. It's a personal line. Once you cross it, there's no going back. You understand that, right? A lawsuit like this will end your relationship with them. The fluorescent light hums. The office smells like old carpet and coffee. I press my palms flat on my knees and stare at a wrinkle in my skirt, smoothing it out over and over while his words land. End my relationship. The words sound dramatic, but it hits me with a strange, calm clarity. He's talking about a relationship that already died. I think of the spare key turning in my lock like a loaded sentence. I think of my mom's dry meatloaf dropped in my space like a flag planted on stolen land. I think of family means sharing said like a rule I broke. Daniel's voice is gentle now. You can take the night to think about it. You don't have to decide right here. I lift my eyes and meet his. My voice surprises me. It's steady, even. I don't need a night. He waits. They made the choice for me, I say. I'm just signing the paperwork on what they already did. He nods once like he was ready for that. Then we move forward. I'll draft the complaint. We'll serve them this week. I exhale, slow and long, and it feels like I'm letting go of something I've clutched since I was a kid. All the little bargains I made with myself. If I cook, they'll appreciate me. If I keep quiet, we'll be fine. If I work harder, they'll stop. It was all pretend. The truth is simple in my mouth now. Do it, I say. My hands are shaking a little, so I fold them together in my lap to still them. I understand the cost. Daniel studies me a second longer. He's not sizing me up as a client anymore. He's checking if I'll run when they push back. I don't look away. He stands and offers his hand. It's warm and dry and firm. All right, Miss Hastings, let's get your life back. I leave the clinic with the late afternoon sun bouncing off the windshields on the street, the city noisy and alive in a way it hasn't been for me in days. A bus rumbles by, brakes squealing. A dog barks. Someone's frying onions in a food truck and the smell floats down the block. It feels like the world is letting me back in. I put one foot in front of the other and I don't look back. By the time I reach my apartment, I've made up my mind about more than just the lawsuit. Surviving isn't my goal anymore. Reclaiming is. I stand in my kitchen and dial Jordan. He picks up on the second ring. Tell me you did it, he says without hello. I did it. We're filing. They'll be served this week. Good, he says, and I can hear the grin in his voice. What do you need? Everything, I say, and it makes us both laugh for a second. The kind of short, sharp laugh that comes when you're exhausted and wired at the same time. But tonight I need to see the plan. Then tonight you write it down, he says. Make it real. I hang up and pull the black ledger toward me. This isn't the one full of food costs and profit margins. It's the new one I bought after the theft, the one I was afraid to name. I flip to a fresh page. The paper is rough under my palm. I uncap a pen. The kitchen is quiet except for the faint hum of the fridge and the city's heartbeat through the walls. At the top of the page I write in plain block letters, Ledger of Betrayal. It looks stern and simple. It looks right. Under that, I write today's date and the date Daniel gave me for service. I list what will happen, not like wishes but like steps in a recipe. Serve Mom and Kyle, secure copies of everything, back up the backups. Empower Martha with a formal request. Prepare a one-page summary for myself so I don't drown in details. Practice answering hard questions without crying. Feed the customers who stayed, feed myself. I shut the book, then open it again and run my finger over the words. I check the tiny camera feed on my phone. The fisheye frame shows a slice of my door, the brass mail slot, a triangle of floor, quiet and still. It used to make me feel nervous, like the world could break in at any time. Tonight it feels like a held line. I scroll through old clips, making sure they're saved in 2 places. I check the little external drive light blinking like a heartbeat. Still there, still safe. Before bed, I stand at the sink with a glass of water and look at my reflection in the dark window. The face looking back is tired, eyes rimmed red, a few strands of hair escaping the tie at the back of my neck. But my jaw is set, and for the first time in days, I don't flinch at myself. Reclamation, I think, not revenge. Not anymore. This is me taking my name back and nailing it to my own door. The thought pins me to the ground in a good way. It keeps me from floating off into fear. They get the papers on a gray morning a week later. I know, because the process server calls Daniel and Daniel texts me a simple message. Served. 30 seconds later, my phone lights up. Mom. I stare at her name a heartbeat too long, then swipe to answer. The first sound is her breathing, short and sharp, then the words explode. How dare you, she screams. The phone vibrates against my ear with her fury. After everything I've done for you, after all the sacrifices. I gave you life, Rebecca. I hold the phone away for a second and look at it like it bit me, then I bring it back. My voice is quiet. You took my life, Mom, I'm just taking it back. She launches into a wild list of all the times she helped, spinning every memory until it sounds like a ledger of debt I never paid. It's not a conversation, it's a storm. I don't step into it, I let it pass over me. When she runs out of air, the line goes silent. For a second, I hear the faint clatter of the espresso machine steaming milk, and something in me goes colder. Another voice slides in. Kyle, calm, almost soft. Becca, he says, and the fake sympathy coats my name. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. You don't know what you've started. There's a smile in his voice, the kind of smile that used to make me doubt myself. Not today. I know exactly what I've started, I say. You think that little lawyer and your stupid camera are going to save you, he says. He lowers his voice. Mom is fragile. This stress, you're going to put her in the hospital over a few dollars. There it is, the hook he always tries to sink into me. I feel it hit and I feel it slide off. Hang up, Kyle, I say, and I do it first. The silence that follows is huge. I stand in it until my heart rate comes back down. My hands are cold. I put the kettle on because there's nothing as normal as hot water. The next day, the phone rings again. Tony Rivera. I close my eyes for a second before I answer because I already know it won't be good. His voice is tight, like he's holding something heavy with both hands. Rebecca, I'm really sorry, he says. I can't extend you any more credit. I grip the edge of the counter. I get it, I say. I'm trying to get back on track. I've got orders coming in. The case is moving. He cuts me off, but not unkindly. It's not about not trusting you, he says. Your brother came by the warehouse. He said some things. He said you were in some big legal mess and that you weren't stable. He said you might be closing up. The breath goes out of me like someone opened a drain. He came to your warehouse? Yeah, Tony sounds as disgusted as I feel. He made it sound like he was protecting you. But I can't get in the middle of that. I have to think about my business too. I'm sorry. Cash only for now. I picture Kyle leaning on Tony's counter, casual as hell, making himself sound like the hero of a story I'm ruining. I understand, I say, because there's nothing else to say that won't catch in my throat. Thank you for telling me. Look, Tony says, his voice softening. When this is over, call me. I believe in you. I just can't float you anymore. When I hang up, the kitchen feels colder than it did a minute ago. The metal of the prep table is icy under my fingertips. Another door closed, another small thing made smaller by their reach. I stare at the list on my fridge and force myself to keep moving. Dishes to wash, orders to pack. It's the only antidote I have to the helplessness that keeps trying to crawl up my spine. The attack doesn't stop with my suppliers. My phone buzzes with a notification I didn't ask for. It's from the building's Facebook group, a little community page where people complain about the laundry room and ask for plumber recommendations. The post is from a familiar name. Linda Hastings. She must have joined the group when she came to help me organize. Her post is short and syrupy, a warning to all the parents here with difficult adult children. Sometimes they lash out in cruel ways when you're only trying to help. Pray for my family during this painful time. She doesn't use my name, she doesn't have to. Her profile picture is her and me at Thanksgiving 2 years ago in my apron holding a turkey I paid for. My neighbors know who she is, they know who I am. By the time I take the trash down, the change is already in the air. Mrs. Hall from 3A gives me a long, pitying look in the hallway. The guy with the husky who always holds the elevator for me stares at his shoes. 2 teenagers whisper and then go silent when I walk by. It feels like standing in a fishbowl, all eyes on me, all of them seeing a play they think they understand. The lobby smells like lemon cleaner and something sweet from someone's oven upstairs. I stare at the mail table where my bags used to sit and feel a dull ache. Back upstairs, my phone rings. Martha, the property manager. I answer with a smile in my voice that I don't mean. "Hey Martha, Rebecca," she says, gentle and careful like she's talking to a skittish animal. "Is everything all right?" I swallow. "It will be," I say. "There's been some family drama." "I'm handling it," she clears her throat. "I saw a post from your mother. I just wanted to check in, and also to say if you need any more footage, any letters from us about package procedures, anything official, I can help." Her kindness cracks something in me, but I keep my voice even. "Thank you, I might take you up on that." After I hang up, I sit on the cool kitchen floor with my back against the cabinet, knees pulled up, phone face down on the tile. The camera app sends me a soft alert, motion at the door. It's nothing, just light shifting. I breathe in for 4 counts and out for 4 like a stubborn kid trying to blow out birthday candles on a windy day. My home feels like it's made of glass and my family is throwing stones with a smile. I get up, pour a glass of water, and open the ledger again. The page waits. I add a new line under the plan. Today, served, calls from Mom and Kyle, Tony's credit gone, building post. I underline it. I draw a small square next to each item and I fill each square in with ink, slow and neat. They're not wins, but they're part of the story. And the story is mine to tell, line by line, box by box, until the page fills and I turn it and the next page is clean. A few nights later, well past dinner, there's a soft knock at my door, not the friendly double tap I know from Jordan. A slow, polite knock that makes the hairs rise on my arms. I slide the chain on, press my eye to the peephole, and there he is. Kyle with a gym bag slung over one shoulder and that tight smile that never reaches his eyes. I open the door as far as the chain allows. The hallway smells like old carpet and someone's microwave popcorn. He leans against the frame like he owns the place. "You need to drop this," he says, voice calm, smile fixed. "No," I say. My fingers are white around the doorknob. His eyes flick past me like he's taking inventory. He lowers his voice. "You think your little lawyer and your stupid pictures are going to save you?" I don't answer. "Mom is fragile," he says, putting a gentle weight on the word like he's tucking a blanket around her. "This stress, a lawsuit like this, it could really hurt her health." There it is, the hook, guilt, sharpened to a point. He leans closer, breath warm and sweet like mint gum. "You're going to be the daughter who put her own mother in the hospital over a few bucks," he whispers. My mouth goes dry. I can hear the low hum of my fridge, the steady tick of the hall light. I straighten my spine. "Go home, Kyle." His smile cracks a little. He steps back, putting on his easy shrug like this is just a friendly chat. "You're making it worse than it has to be. Last chance to be smart." "Go home," I repeat. He laughs once, soft and mean, and turns down the hall. I close the door and slide the chain off with shaking hands, then lock the deadbolt, then lock the second lock I added, then stand there with my forehead against the door. My legs tremble. The little camera light inside the entry is on, steady and red. I breathe in through my nose, out through my mouth, slow and even, until the knot in my chest loosens enough to move. I pour a glass of water and take small sips, each one a step away from the person he wants me to be. A week later, Daniel calls. "Can you come in?" he asks. His voice isn't worried. It's focused, like he has a map and he's picked a spot with his finger. I take the train downtown. His office is warm from the morning sun, with a dying plant in the corner and a coffee ring on his desk that mirrors the one on my kitchen counter. He has a thin stack of papers in front of him, clipped at the top. He taps it with his knuckle. "We requested their records," he says. "We got something." He slides the papers to me. The pages are grayscale numbers and dates that look harmless until your brain puts the picture together. It's not their regular checking account. It's a new account opened 6 months ago. The sole name on it is my mom's. My eyes move down the page over tiny transactions that look like noise, and then I see it. One line so big it swallows the others, a deposit for over $150,000. My mouth pulls tight like I've bitten into something sour. What is this from? I ask, though the line below already answers me, a life insurance payout. For a second, my brain trips. I see my dad at the grill last summer, laughing with a beer in his hand. I blink hard, read again, and feel the floor steady. The name in the small print is my grandfather's. He had the same first and last name as my dad, and they used his full name the way banks do. My dad was the beneficiary, which means he was the one supposed to get it. But the account is only in my mom's name. Daniel watches my face as I add it up. Whose policy? He asks in the careful way of someone who knows the answer and wants to see if you're ready to say it. My grandfather's, I say. My voice is calm, but my hands are shaking a little. It was meant for my dad, he nods once, and now it's here, in her account. Hidden, I run my finger along the date the account was opened. Months before she emptied mine. They didn't need me, they were never desperate. The espresso machine flares in my mind like a mirror catching sunlight, harsh and sharp. I swallow and taste metal. We'll use this, Daniel says. It changes the picture. It does more than change the picture, it flips the whole canvas. I sit there and look at the lines of numbers, and all I can think is how casual they must have been, how easy it must have felt to them to take from me while sitting on a fortune. The paper is warm from the printer. My cheeks are hot, my hands cold. I ask for copies. Daniel makes them, the machine whirring and clicking like a little engine, spitting out truth. I call Dad from the sidewalk, the wind cutting down the block and tugging at my coat. He picks up on the third ring, voice soft and rough the way it gets when he's been dozing in front of the television. I can hear the faint noise of some game show in the background, contestant bells and canned cheers. Dad, I say. Did you get money from Grandpa's insurance? There's a long pause. I can picture him in his recliner, knuckles white around the remote. When he speaks, his words come slow, like he's building the courage as he goes. Your mother said we should keep it quiet, he says. She was managing it. She moved it into an account in her name, I say. Just her name. He's silent. A car honks. A bus roars past, and when it fades, I hear him sigh. She said it would be safer that way, that I'd spend it on nonsense. He tries to huff a laugh, but it dies on the line. You know how she gets. I feel something old and tired flutter in my chest. Did you need my money? I ask. The words fall heavy between us. When she took my accounts, when Kyle took the checks, did you need it? He clears his throat. It was complicated. Did you need it? I press. I hate the sharpness in my voice, but I leave it. I've earned sharp. No, he says finally, so soft I almost miss it. We didn't need it. The air goes thin. People pass me on the sidewalk, laughing, talking, living in their own little worlds, and I'm standing in mine with a phone pressed to my ear and this truth burning a hole in my hand. Then why? I ask. Why take it? He doesn't have an answer ready. I can hear the television again, people clapping for a stranger's win. At last he says, your mother, she said you were out of control, that you didn't appreciate anything. She said if she didn't step in, you just keep doing whatever you want. His voice drifts, afraid of its own words. We gave you so much, Rebecca. There it is, the message carved into my bones since I could reach the sink. You owe us. The words rustle like dry leaves in my head. I look at the palm of my free hand. It's pink from the cold, a little scraped from where I rubbed it against the metal railing earlier. I hear you, I say, my jaw aches. I'm going to hang up now. He says my name, soft, like it could pull me back into the version of me that nodded and made myself smaller and said sorry when I wasn't. I press end. I stand still until my shoulders stop trembling, then I walk home with my hands stuffed deep in my pockets and my eyes straight ahead. At a corner, a food cart is frying onions and peppers. The smell hits me and I swallow hard to keep from crying. I unlock my door, step into my quiet kitchen, and set my phone face down on the counter next to the ledger. I don't need to write this down. My whole body already did. The next morning, Daniel calls again. He doesn't bother with small talk. They hired a big firm, he says. It's not a surprise, but I need you to be ready. I picture a glass tower downtown, shiny lobby, men in stiff suits who bill by the minute. My stomach flips. Okay, I say, because what else is there? And they filed a countersuit, he adds. He pauses like he wants to cushion it and knows there's no way. They're claiming you've caused your mother emotional harm. They're saying you've been abusive toward her because of her age. The words make my mouth taste like pennies. That's insane, I say, but the heat in my voice doesn't change the fact that now there's a new stack of papers and problems. I know, he says, it's meant to drag this out and drain you, it's meant to scare you. He exhales through his nose. We'll answer, I'll handle the filings, but I want you to understand they have money. They can make this long. I look around my kitchen. The counters are clean, not because I'm on top of it, but because I haven't had enough orders to make a mess. My coolers are stacked and empty by the door. The camera sits like a patient eye in the corner, watching the same slice of door over and over, almost soothing in its sameness. I rub a hand over my neck and feel the tightness there like a rubber band about to snap. How long? I ask. I can't say weeks, months, he hesitates. We're still in this, but I need you to keep records of everything, every call, every message, every visit. I already am, I say, my finger finds the edge of the ledger. The paper is soft where I've turned it so many times. After we hang up, the day pours itself out in small tasks. I answer 2 customer emails with calm apologies and new delivery windows. I cook a batch of red pepper soup because it keeps well and because chopping garlic and onions gives my hands something to do. I wash the knife right after, wipe it dry, hang it back in its place. The routine keeps the fear from breeding in the quiet. Late afternoon brings an envelope slid under my door. It's fat and heavy, stamped with a return address from the firm Daniel mentioned. I crouch to pick it up and feel that old familiar wave rise, shame, anger, exhaustion, all rolling into one. I don't open it. I set it on the table, text Daniel a picture of the label, and wait for his reply. He sends one line, got it, do not respond. I smile despite myself. I boil water for tea and stand by the stove while the kettle sings. In the hallway, someone laughs, and for a second I see myself through my neighbor's eyes, lonely woman in 4B, bad blood with her family drama spilling into the building's Facebook group. It makes me want to shrink. Instead, I square my shoulders. They can think what they want. They can tell whatever story they need to feel kind by looking down on me. I don't live in their heads. I live here with 4 walls, a door that I lock, and a book that tells the truth, line by line. As the sun drops and the street outside turns into a river of headlights, I flip the ledger open again. The lamp casts a small circle of yellow on the page. I add the new pieces, second account, insurance deposit, dad's voice, big firm, new claim. I check the little boxes I drew yesterday and draw new ones, not for hope but for action. I don't know how I'll win the long game. I just know I can't afford to lose this one, not to them, not to the version of me they built to push around. I close the book, set my hand on the cover, and hold it there until my heartbeat slows. The big firm's move sits on my counter like a stone, but it also makes something in me click into place. My evidence is strong, but it's not loud enough. They keep dressing their acts up as help, and I need them to take off the costume. I need their real faces on record. I call Daniel. I want to put them under oath, I say. A recorded interview, both of them. He's quiet for a second. In that second, I can hear him flipping through files, weighing outcomes, seeing all the ways this could break me. It's risky, he says. They'll be prepared. They might come across as caring and reasonable. They could make you look like the bully. They've been rehearsing this story since I was a kid, I say. They're good at it, but they're also arrogant. They think they can spin anything. It could backfire, he says. If it does, they'll use it to push for a deal that's bad for you. They'll wave it around like a trophy. I look at the camera feed on my phone. My door, my mail slot, a square of floor, empty, quiet. I see the little red ring of the lens in the corner by my ceiling, steady as a heartbeat. I know them, I say. They hate being challenged. If you press the right way, they'll get careless. He lets out a breath I can almost feel through the phone. All right, he says, we'll set it. We'll keep the questions simple. Dates, actions. What they did and why. I hang up and set the phone down like it's fragile. The kitchen light is warm on the steel counter. I open my ledger to the page where I wrote the heading that night, Ledger of Betrayal, and under it, in my square, neat handwriting, I add one line. Request interviews under oath. I date it. I underline it. I close the book and rest my palm on the cover until the heat of my skin sinks into it. Jordan texts me a thumbs up and a lightning bolt. It makes me smile even as my stomach twists. I drink a glass of water and stand by the window watching the street light flicker and steady. The plan is simple. The plan is dangerous. The plan is mine. The day of the interviews arrives gray and wet, the kind of rain that doesn't pour, just hangs in the air and sticks to your skin. The conference room is everything I expected. Glass walls, long table, a tray with a sweating pitcher of water and a stack of small paper cups. The chair squeaks when I sit. Across from me, Mom sits with her hands folded on a tissue, eyes already rimmed red like it took no effort at all. Kyle next to her, hair perfect, watch catching the light. Their lawyer, a woman with a clean, careful voice, has a legal pad and a look that says she's not here to listen, she's here to arrange. Daniel starts. He keeps it simple like he promised. On this date, did you withdraw money from your daughter's account? He asks Mom, his voice steady. She lowers her eyes. I was holding it for her, she says, voice trembling just enough. I was afraid she'd waste it. She's always been impulsive. I was safeguarding it for her. Why didn't you tell her? Daniel asks. I tried, she whispers, but she was so angry. She's not well. A tissue appears in her hand as if by magic. She blots her eyes. He asks about the second account. She says she opened it for household stability. She says Dad asked her to. She never says the number. She says a family gift and a difficult time. When Daniel asks, did you need your daughter's money? She leans forward like she's confiding. We needed to make sure she didn't hurt herself with it, she says. The word hurt lands like a knife on the table. Then it's Kyle's turn. He leans back casual like he's about to tell a story on a porch. He admits to messing with my deliveries. He calls it a bad joke. It was a childish prank, he says. I was trying to get her attention. I thought if she saw the deliveries were a mess, she'd ask for help. I didn't think about the fallout. And the payment memo? Daniel asks, sliding the printed screenshot toward him. He glances at it, shrugs. I owed her for pizza from that night, he says, like the memory is hard to pull up, but he's doing his best. It was thoughtless to write it that way. I can see how that looked. I'm sorry. He even hangs his head a little. I could vomit. Their lawyer keeps putting small, gentle words into the air. Concern, worry, protect. The room fills with them like a soft fog. I sit there and listen to a version of my life I don't recognize, each part wrapped in tissue paper and labeled love. Then it's my turn to be questioned by their lawyer, and she takes me apart like she's used to opening clocks, patiently, piece by piece. She asks about Christmases from 10 years ago. Did you argue with your mother that day? She says, pen poised over her pad, eyes mild. I was exhausted, I say. I had worked a double and so that's a yes, she says and smiles like we're friends. You argued? She asks about my teenage years. Isn't it true you often refused to help around the house when asked? She says. I cooked and cleaned more than anyone, I say, but it sounds defensive even to me. Did you ever thank your mother for her help with money? She asks softly. Or did you just expect it? My breath shortens. I can hear a clock somewhere ticking too fast. I thanked her, I say. The words feel small and useless in my mouth. She nods like she understands, like she's sorry to have to ask. Miss Hastings, would you say you and your mother have always had a difficult relationship? The question hangs there. If I say yes, I'm the angry daughter she's already painted me as. If I say no, I'm a liar. I wish I could step outside myself and coach me like Daniel does. Keep your answers short, stay steady, don't argue. Instead, I'm back in the kitchen of my childhood, my hands in dishwater while Mom tells a neighbor about the dinner she cooked. and I can't make my mouth remember how to hold a simple truth without apologizing for it. By the end, there's a buzzing in my ears. Daniel's jaw is tight. He's good, but they are better because they've been rehearsing for years, and I'm still learning to hold a boundary without it slipping through my fingers. When we step out into the hallway, my knees feel loose, like they might swing the wrong way. Daniel offers me a cup of water. I take it. It tastes like chlorine and defeat. The official recorder clicks off in the room behind us, sealing their polished lies into a neat digital box. We ride the elevator down without speaking. In the lobby, the air smells like wet wool and coffee. I push the door open and the rain kisses my face with cold little fingers. I don't cry until I'm halfway down the block, and then it isn't dramatic, just a slow, steady leak that won't stop, like a pipe that's cracked in the wall and no one knows yet. That night, Daniel calls. He doesn't dance around it. They've made an offer, he says. I sit on my couch, a blanket over my knees even though I'm not cold. The room feels too big. What is it? I ask, already bracing. They'll return 10%, he says, voice serious. In exchange, you drop the case and sign a confidentiality agreement. You agree not to talk about this ever. I let out a sound that might be a laugh if it didn't taste so bitter. 10%? I repeat, staring at the blank space above my television where I always meant to hang a picture and never did. I have to say this, he adds, and his voice is careful in a way that makes me want to throw my phone. They presented very well today. A jury might believe them. This lets you walk away with something. It ends the bleeding. The floor tips under me. I don't want to hear the care in his voice. I want iron. I want certainty. I want someone to tell me that truth is enough if I keep stacking it. Instead, I hang up and sit in the thick quiet of my apartment. The oven's cold, the coolers washed and stacked, the label printer unplugged like a sleeping insect. Jordan comes over and tries to joke me into a smile. He brings hot chocolate and a bag of kettle chips and sets them on the coffee table like offerings. You punch back, he says. That's who you are. Who I am isn't winning, I say. My voice is tired and mean, and I hate how it sounds in my own ears. He reaches for my hand. I let him take it, but I can't meet his eyes. There's a hollow feeling inside me, a cave where my goal used to echo. Around 9, he squeezes my fingers and leaves, and the apartment closes in again. I call up a new order form on my laptop and stare at the empty fields until the screen dims. I shut it. I turn every light off and sit in the dark with the hum of the fridge and the soft street noise pressing against the glass. Maybe I should take the deal, I think. Maybe I should cut off the arm to save the body. The thought makes me feel like I'm falling, slow and unstoppable, past the point where anyone can grab me. I'm reaching for my phone to call Daniel when an email notification blinks into the corner of my screen. For a second, I think it's spam, then I see the sender, Liam Porter, the delivery app support guy I messaged weeks ago. I click it open because there's nothing else left to do. His message is simple, almost casual. He apologizes for the delay. He says they pulled the driver's device location from the days my customers complained. We also found something unusual, he writes. My eyes move faster. The customer account linked to yours with the username khastings88 reported 3 never delivered orders on the same dates you had missing deliveries. Our location data shows those orders were marked delivered at an address 2 blocks from yours. I read it twice, then a third time because my brain refuses to light up all at once. The words fall into place one by one, a row of dominoes tipping in slow motion. A customer account, linked to mine. The username is a punchline and a confession in one. Reported never delivered, claimed refunds. And the location trail shows the orders went to his building. I sit back and the chair squeaks. The room doesn't change, but the air does. It feels like someone opened a tiny window I didn't know I had. It's not just the package at my door, it's not just texts and a $15 insult. It's a pattern, it's fraud, plain and ugly, and they don't know I have it. My hands are trembling, but not in the same helpless way. I forward the email to Daniel with a subject line that says, "Look at this now." Then I forward it to myself twice and save it to my cloud, my hard drive, and a cheap thumb drive in a mug by the sink. I print it and the printer whirs to life like a small animal waking up. The page comes out warm and smells like plastic and ink. I lay it on the table and smooth it with my palm. Hope doesn't rush me. It arrives careful and thin like a single thread that could still snap if I tugged too hard. I wrap it around my finger anyway. I stand and pour a glass of water. My reflection in the dark window looks like a stranger who's learning how to inhabit her own outline. I take a sip, then I pick up my phone to call Daniel, and this time when it rings, I feel my feet on the ground. The courtroom is smaller than I pictured. No sweeping ceiling, no marble columns. Just pale walls, a row of wooden benches that creak when you breathe, and a clock that ticks loud enough to hear. The air smells like dust and old paper. Daniel sits beside me at our table, a legal pad in front of him, a blue pen lined up perfectly straight. Across the aisle, Mom dabs at her eyes with a tissue, already playing her part. Kyle leans back in his chair, one ankle resting on his knee, a smirk half-formed like it lives there. The judge walks in and everything changes. Judge Ellen Brooks, she's not big but she fills the room anyway, no nonsense, calm but not soft. We stand when the clerk tells us to, then sit again, and the sound of our clothes and bodies settling is a dry wave over wood. Daniel goes first. His voice is steady and simple, not dramatic. He lays out the bones of my story without clicking his tongue on any of the wounds. Money taken from my accounts, packages taken from my door. A line of proof, each piece with a date and a time. He doesn't say anything cruel. He doesn't say anything he can't back up with paper or a picture. When he's done, he sits and smooths the edge of his pad. Their lawyer stands. She's careful and practiced, her jacket perfect, her hair pulled back so tight you can see the shape of her skull. She talks about family. She says I'm troubled and angry. She says Mom worried about me, stepped in to keep me from hurting myself with money I couldn't handle. She says Kyle made a mistake and tried to make it right. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't even look at me, not really. She looks at the judge and builds a gentle, wrong world where I'm a storm they had to shelter from. I study Judge Brooks's face. It gives nothing away. She takes notes with a very fine pen. The sound of nib on paper is like a whisper in a church. My throat feels tight. For a second I picture my coolers at home, empty and stacked. I picture the little red light on my camera. I picture the words I wrote, ledger of betrayal. I set my hands flat on the table and press until my fingers stop shaking. When Daniel calls me, I walk to the stand and hold the edge of the wood because it steadies me. The clerk swears me in, and my own name sounds strange in this room, like it belongs to someone I left behind in the hallway. I sit. The chair squeaks. I fold my hands and try not to grip them so hard my knuckles show. Daniel starts where I can breathe. Miss Hastings, he says, tell the court what you do. I cook, I say. I run a meal prep business from my apartment. My voice sounds steady like it belongs to me. He nods and keeps moving through our list. He shows me bank statements on a screen. He asks, do you recognize these? I do. He asks me to read the dates of the withdrawals and the amounts. I do. He asks who signed the slips at the branch across town. The camera over the table shows the signature up close. I say, that's my mom. My voice doesn't shake on the word. He shows a photo of the torn padded envelope I found on my doormat and the short video clip of a hand reaching through my mail slot. The silver ring flashes for a second under the hallway light. The room is quiet. All anyone hears is the click of the judge's pen and the soft hum of the air conditioner. Whose hand is that? Daniel asks. Kyle's, I say. I know the ring. He hands me my black ledger. I hold it like a living thing. The cover is warm from my bag, the corners softened from being opened and closed 100 times. He asks, what is this? It's my record, I say. After the money was taken, I started writing everything down. I open it to the page I marked with a sticky note. Date, time, item taken, what I did about it. The pages smell like ink the way a fresh page does when the pen digs in. I read, June 14th, 2:15 in the afternoon, padded envelope removed, decoy. Saved video clip and photos. 2:30, called property manager for lobby camera. I keep reading. Each entry is small and plain: how much a check was worth when a text arrived, which file I saved it to. My voice finds a rhythm. I hear it catch and then smooth out. Daniel asks me about the payment my brother sent. I pull the printout and hold it up. "This is the $15 he sent me," I say. The message line says, "For helping W business stuff." I read it exactly, even the ugly shorthand, and something an old teacher told me once rings in my head: read what's there, not what you want there. I don't add a word. "Your Honor," their lawyer cuts in, "this ledger is self-made. It's her story. This is not, strictly speaking." Judge Brooks lifts a hand without looking at her. "I'll hear it," she says. "Go on." I go on. I don't tell the court how I felt. I show them what I wrote, with dates and times and quiet lines. The room shrinks to the sound of my own breath, the scratch of the judge's pen, the minute croak of a bench when someone shifts. When we finish, Daniel says, "No further questions," and sits. Their lawyer stands and walks toward me like she's approaching a wild animal she wants to pet without losing a finger. "Miss Hastings," she says in a tone that could almost pass for kind, "you heard your brother say under oath in the recorded interview that he was playing a prank. Isn't that right?" "Yes," I say. The word lands in my mouth like a stone. I don't add anything. I let it sit. "And you heard your mother say she was holding the money to keep you safe," she says. "You heard her say she was concerned." "I heard her," I say. She smiles with only her mouth. "So with that in mind, would you agree that there is more than one way to see these events, that your family's actions could be seen as misguided love?" "No," I say. It's out before I can make it polite. The judge's pen pauses. My face feels hot. I swallow. "I don't agree." Their lawyer tilts her head. "Nothing further," she says, and turns away with a little flick of her wrist like I've bored her. Daniel stands again. He has a folder in his hand, blue, corners still crisp. "Your Honor, we have one last piece," he says, keeping his voice as quiet and plain as a grocery list. "It's from the delivery app company. It comes with a certification of where the data came from." He looks at the screen. "We have a support specialist on video if the court will allow." Judge Brooks nods. "Proceed." The monitor pops to life and there's Liam Porter sitting in a cubicle with a plant leaning toward the light behind him. He looks like someone you forget in a crowd until he starts talking. Then you remember every word because it's clean and exact. Daniel asks the questions in little steps. "Mr. Porter, did your company receive reports of missing orders from a customer account with the username K Hastings 88 on these dates?" He taps the list. Liam says yes. "Were those reports filed on the same days my client's customers reported missing orders?" "Yes." "Where were those orders recorded as delivered?" Liam says the address, and it's Kyle's. He spells the street name. He gives the apartment number. Daniel keeps it simple. "How do you know that?" Liam explains in a way even the teenagers on my floor would understand. "The delivery driver's device pings location when they hit delivered. Those pings stack up. On those 3 dates, the pings show the food went to Kyle's building, not to the customer addresses. The customer account tied to those refund reports belonged to Kyle. The refunds were issued." His voice doesn't shake. He reads it like he's telling us the weather. Daniel nods, looks at the judge. "A prank doesn't usually include filing for refunds and getting money back for food you took," he says, almost gentle. "That's an extra step." That's not a joke. My heartbeat is in my ears, steady and hard. Across the aisle, Kyle's smirk fades like a light losing power. He shifts, then stills. He looks at his lawyer like maybe she'll reach into the air and pull down a new story for him to wear. Mom is rigid, tissue clutched in her hand like a flag she can't stop waving. The judge looks from the screen to Kyle to me and back again. She asks Liam a few questions herself. She keeps it short. When she's satisfied, she thanks him. The screen goes dark. The room is so quiet I can hear the fabric of Mom's blouse whisper when she moves. Judge Brooks turns to Kyle. "Mr. Hastings," she says, voice level, "do you have an explanation for these refund reports tied to your account, filed on days your sister's food went missing, with location records showing the deliveries going to your address?" Kyle swallows. The sound is loud in the hush. It's a mix-up, he says. I didn't. My friend used my phone. He was at my place. Your friend used your phone to report missing deliveries from your sister's business on 3 different days, and those deliveries were recorded at your address, the judge says. She's not angry, she's not anything, she's a rock face that won't take a handhold. Kyle's mouth opens, closes, he looks to his lawyer, she spreads her fingers a fraction, which is nothing at all, his voice slips. It's a coincidence. The judge lets the lie sit between us like a dead fish, then she turns to Mom. Mrs. Hastings, she says, your son was taking his sister's property and asking for refunds while you were controlling her money. Money she needed to run the same business he was stealing from. Do you understand how that looks? Mom lifts her chin. I was protecting her, she says, and the words are tired now, worn thin from use. Judge Brooks leans back a little, inhales, and sets her pen down. She doesn't need a jury, she doesn't need a recess. She speaks, and everything in me goes very still. This court finds in favor of the plaintiff, she says. Her tone is firm and clear. The evidence shows a cruel, planned campaign that took her money and her work and then tried to rewrite the story. You will return the full amount you took. You will also pay for the harm done to her business. She looks at me then, and there's something in her eyes that isn't pity. It lands in my chest like a steady hand. Miss Hastings, you were careful, you were clear. You told the truth. I swallow. My hands are sweating, and I don't dare wipe them on my skirt because I want to remember the feeling of this exact second. The judge looks back at them. If you appeal to love to excuse taking someone's work and money, it isn't love, she says. It's control, and this court does not reward control. Her last words drop into the quiet like stones into deep water. The clerk is speaking, but I don't catch all of it. Paper rustles, people stand. Somewhere in the room, a chair legs scrape the floor. Across the aisle, Kyle is gray around the mouth. Mom's tissue hangs limp between her fingers. For once, they don't have a version of the story to throw like a sheet over the truth. Daniel squeezes my elbow, quick and light. When I look at him, he just nods once like he promised me a thing and delivered it. We pack up in little movements. My ledger goes into my bag, the printouts go into a folder, the blue pen slides into the loop. I don't look at my family when I walk out. I look at the door, then the hallway, then the slice of sky I can see through the courthouse glass. It's the same old sky, but it looks new. I step into it and take a breath that fills me all the way up. 6 months later, my new kitchen smells like rosemary and warm bread. The space is twice the size of my old one. White tile, bright lights, a walk-in cooler that purrs like a big cat, and 2 shiny ovens that hold steady heat without complaining. The metal tables are real prep tables, not the wobbly second-hand ones I used to brace with folded cardboard. The new label printer hums instead of rattles. When it spits out a neat roll of stickers, I feel the same quiet joy I used to feel when a dough came together just right. I named the business Reclaim. The sign on the front door is simple black letters on clean glass. It still catches me sometimes. I'll look up from a pan of roasted squash and see my name reflected under that word and feel a small, solid click inside me. Grace is my first employee. She ties her apron fast, moves like she's been in kitchens her whole life, and tells stories to the soup while she stirs. The day after the verdict, Tony called to apologize. He drove over himself with cases of tomatoes and greens, hands open, voice honest. We shook on it again. It meant more the second time. My new front door doesn't have a mail slot. All packages go to a secure locker in the back. I'm the only one with a key. I tap it against my palm sometimes without meaning to, just to feel the weight. I blocked Mom's number and Kyle's. I haven't spoken to them since the court date. Some days there's a ghost ache like a missing tooth my tongue keeps finding. Not for who they are, but for the space where love should have been. The judgment let me wipe out what I owed and buy real equipment without fear. But it did something else too. It cleaned the wound. It stopped the bleed. I still have scars. I see them when I flinch at a sudden knock. I hear them when a stranger says, "Trust me," but I also hear my own voice louder. I open my new ledger every morning. The pages fill with orders, costs, names of new customers who found me because someone told them I cook like I care. The ink is dark, the numbers steady. I close the book at night, wash my hands, and lock the door. The key turns, and this time the click belongs to me. Betrayal can come from people you love, but it doesn't have to be the end of your story. If you've had to fight to reclaim your life, share your experience in the comments. And if this moved you, subscribe for more stories of justice and strength.